Hi everyone, and welcome to my first video for Nier on the PlayStation 3. This is a little bit out of left field, but my friend John, who I worked with for a good number of years in Phoenix, has been, I guess, encouraging me to play this game. It's one of his favorites, and I did start this earlier in the year, and if you saw my save file just now, the last time I played this was in July of this year, and it is now almost the middle of November. And so these first few bits of this video are me just kind of getting back into it. I totally forgot where I was in the story, but since I am kind of compulsive about these quests in games, I decided to try and knock out as many of these as possible. So here I'm bringing back all the ingredients for Yona's soup, which I thought was a cute scene because Nier, he's just not really liking it, but you know, he has to please his daughter, and so you eat it reluctantly. And yeah, so here I'm going through the marketplace, taking care of these quests. I guess you could argue that the quests in this game are nothing really new. Most of them are your standard kind of FedEx fetch quest. You know, go collect 5 of these, return to this person, go tell the person that originally gave you the quest that you've done it. So there's a lot of running back and forth, and at this point there's no such thing as fast travel. And but that's okay. Nier, he runs really fast, and so getting from place to place doesn't take that long. And right now the areas that I am able to explore are pretty close to each other, which is basically your home area here, the marketplace, and then the Airy and Seafront. And yeah, so sorry this is somewhat boring. This one was funny, where you have to deliver this fragile package to the Airy. I broke it probably 3 or 4 times before finally making it here. I have a bad habit of doing the rolling move or getting into a fight before getting here, and at other times I just forgot that I had the package with me, so it broke that way. So this time I finally did it, returned it, and got my measly, I think it might have been 1500 gold. So kind of talking about this game in general, I think it's one of those games that is greater than the sum of its parts, because if you look at it, it's not that pretty. It's very gray and brown and green, so the color palette is very muted, not very interesting to look at, although the wide open spaces in the world are pretty impressive and remind me of Eco, however you say it, or Shadow of the Colossus. There's kind of that kind of outwardly feel or dreamlike state that it kind of brings to mind. So there is something nice about the aesthetic. And the combat, at least so far, the melee or the sword fighting combat isn't all that interesting to me, especially coming from playing Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 this week or last week. Not that interesting, but what I do like about the game's combat is the kind of shooter aspect of it, or twin stick shooter aspect of it, that is similar to something like Robotron or maybe Cannon Spike on the Dreamcast. So I like fighting enemies that way using the missile attacks. So I don't know if I'm doing things right or wrong, but it's kind of cool that the game gives you the option of either going hand to hand or fighting from a distance. And this is kind of a touching little quest where the dog who's fetching the medicine for the old man dies, and the man dies, and you and your I can't remember his name, Grimoire, talk about whether he's in heaven with his dog, and you say definitely. So even though the main character in this game has been criticized as being the ugliest of all time, I think he has a good heart. I like that he cares deeply for his daughter, and even though he has this very dry sarcasm, which is coming up here in a line I really liked, even though it probably wasn't meant to be funny, but I thought it was. Here, where you're talking to these kids whose mother has been missing for a week, Nier just kind of says, well, that's a long time. And I thought that was kind of funny. He just kind of calls things the way they are. So I like his honesty. And I do like the conversations that happen between him and Grimoire throughout your travels. So I think that's a nice touch. I haven't gotten that deep into things like fishing, which I do remember doing quite a bit when I played this back in July. And the fishing mechanic isn't that difficult. It's actually very easy, but just I think the amount that I had to do it at the time, I think you got to catch like 10 sardines or something, wasn't really doing it for me. So maybe I'll come back to it and do it later. But as far as I can tell, most of these side quests in this game are just to get you more money or some items to give you some advantages to make the game a little easier or allow you to afford better gear earlier. So so far I like that those exist for those reasons and aren't necessarily required. And so here you're in this junk heap and you're in this mechanical area where you have to fight these robots. And again, I'm kind of using the missile attacks, but they have very easy patterns in terms of when the electricity comes off their arms, and so that gives you a opportunity to attack them. And I thought this was interesting. I don't know if this has happened in the game yet, but this right here is very Robotron-like since it switches over to an overhead perspective, and you basically can fight them in a twin stick manner, like Geometry Wars or Robotron. So I thought that was very cool. And so here you bring the materials back to the kids and they upgrade your weapon, and they eventually, after this conversation, are still worried about their mother. So you, again, being the helpful person that you are, offer to go back in and find their mom. And that's the point at which I stopped for the day. I played for a couple hours just getting those quests done. And yeah, it's fun. And again, I have to mention, and maybe not again, this is the first time mentioning it in video, but the music in this game is just phenomenal. And I definitely have to buy the soundtrack. It's that good. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.